Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Heron. Again, Chargers not playing this week, but the NFL still went on while the Chargers had a bye week. Chargers week's next opponent will be the Dallas Cowboys. Looking forward to that matchup. As we do the show right now, all the afternoon games or the late games just ended, depending where you're at. Just get ready for Sunday night football between the Cowboys Niners, Monday night football, of course, Raiders and Green Bay Packers. But guys, of course, the NFL is always interesting. I don't know about you, but I always have a list of, hey, I'm going to watch this game, but I'm also going to get this done during the day. And then I don't. I just find myself watching every game, and there's never a chance to say, now's a good time to walk away from the TV or do something else. And you don't. The NFL is so good and so exciting, and it always amazes me. And I know people go, that's dumb, but it amazes me, especially when you watch other sports, how you can time out that the time of a game is like exactly 3 hours. Think about it. The games start in Southern California, Mario, 10 o'clock in the morning over at 1, kickoff 1:05, 1:20, whatever they do for the next games. But there's never like that overlap of like, man, I really want to see the Rams play the Eagles, but I got to finish watching the Titans Colts. It doesn't work that way. It is down to a science. It is entertaining. It is fast. And it is always great to watch. And man, you just can't beat the NFL. They know what they're doing, and that's why it's so highly rated. And of course, it's easy to gamble on.
The NFL is the best. I said it on Twitter a few weeks ago. It's the only sport where you can watch every team play. I can't do that for the NBA. I'm not watching two bad teams in baseball. I'm not even watching playoff baseball. I'd rather watch the Broncos and the New York Jets over playoff baseball right now. And it's not even close. I mean, I would never want to watch baseball over football, especially when the NFL is going. College football, too. I think college football and NFL is just so good. I was thinking when I was watching the Broncos and the Jets, that'd be comparable to me sitting down and saying, you know what, I'm going to watch the Nationals and the Rockies right now. That would never happen, ever. And I was all in on Broncos, Jets. NFL's the best. Even on a bye week, the NFL's the best.
You know, it's funny, Mario, that he just said that. Sorry, I'm going to say that real quick. Because Josh and I were together because he's in San Diego today. Is Bruce Bochy is a really good friend of mine, the manager of the Texas Rangers. I didn't watch one inning of Bruce Bochy in the playoffs today as I'm watching the Jets, Broncos, anyone else that they're going to throw up there, Chiefs, Vikings, Rams, Eagles. I'm watching everything but one. Right, Josh? I didn't flip the channel one time, and this guy's a personal friend, like literally texted me after games, and I didn't watch one inning. And we're like, what a jerk, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just priorities, and like he should understand that. And in retrospect, I forgot there's playoff baseball. I literally forgot. Someone was tweeting about it. Like I saw someone, Dallas guy was tweeting like the Rangers really need to close this out. And my first thought was Rangers. That was yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, there's playoff baseball on right now. And that was a quick check to Bleacher Report, and then I went back to my TV. And I sweated out Chiefs -3.5, which pulled through. But, what are you going to do? NFL Sunday is the best. Red Zone's the best. I love the morning football, the 9:30, 8:30, 6:30, whatever time zone you're in. It's the best freaking time. It's a fun every Sunday and a little less stressful when the Chargers aren't playing. And then you can always play the game where you convince yourself that all these teams are better, like are not as good as the Chargers. And you just play that game for about 30 minutes in your head, which is a fun game.
So you got up early. For us, the early game was 6:30 a.m. Okay, that was Bills Jaguars, and you're sitting there watching. And this sounds dumb to say. I always thought every one of those games in London like are in the same stadium, because it's like playing in the United States. Thinking, well, this game's in the United States, that means they must be playing in New York. Just off the top of my head, and then you realize today. There was a big issue with the field, according to the Buffalo Bills, saying, wait a second.
Wait, time out. This isn't the same stadium as last week?
As far as last week, I'm not even sure. But when they were sitting there saying different stadiums that, they rotate through, and I was like, I didn't even understand, because a week ago, I didn't hear anything about the grass or the plain surface. And then all of a sudden, you're listening to the Buffalo Bills, and whether that was a crutch or complaint, I think it had a lot to do probably with time change, because the Jags said that. We've been here for a couple of weeks. The time change, it's something that's real. But the Bills should beat the Jaguars on almost every Sunday. And then today, the Jags pull out a big win against what most people thought was the best team in the AFC and the Buffalo Bills. So you're watching, and for me, I'm up. I'm like, I know there's a game in the morning. I can't miss that. Of course, I'm going to get up and watch at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm going to watch all the way through Sunday night. It's it's an amazing schedule the way it works out. We were talking about how Sunday night seems to always be the better game as far as Monday to Sunday. And when I was, I'm gonna age myself, not until I was about 17 years old did they have Sunday night football. So it used to be, it ended now, and then Monday night football was your game to, as the gamblers, to chase, right? That's where you chase all your money that you lost during the weekend. Or if you said, man, this is my weekend, I've never been so hot in my life, I got to bet Monday night. That was your makeup game. Whereas now Sunday night has become the chase game. I mean, Mario, am I wrong? I mean, guys that that wager, they look at Sunday as, hey, it's been a long day, I'm going to make it all back tonight against so and so.
Yeah, I had a friend. I wish I could say his name. The amount of stories I have when we're sitting in a room, it's been a tough Sunday of betting, and he's really, really quiet. And we're about 5 minutes till kickoff, and he just looks up at us and goes, "Gentlemen, I have the way out," and just shows us the phone. And it's a 6-leg parlay that's like 10 for $2,000. And then you sit there, and everyone convinces, and then one by one, people throw more money on it. And then once again, for the next 4 hours, you just slowly watch everyone in there feel dumber, dumber, and dumber. It's tradition as old as time, and it's a great tradition. Do I miss those days? Yes. Should I tell you to throw a 6-leg parlay? You should absolutely not. But when you're in the moment, it's a good time. So shout out to the good times and shout out to the chasers.
Yeah, dude, I'm one of those dumb people, one of those dumb Americans that I figured every game in London was at the same stadium. I just looked up. It's not. Last week, they played at Wembley Stadium when it was the Falcons and the Jaguars. And today they played at Tottenham Stadium, which is about 12.5 miles from one another. I would have never knew that till right now when the Bills freaked out about the playing surface and the cement and the turf. They said it's almost one and the same, the cement turf that they played on today. And then Travis Kelce gets hurt. Travis Kelce looked like he tore his Achilles and then comes back like 20 minutes later, which is just wild. Nobody had that. What do you guys think about this whole turf grass saga that's going on? Do you think anything's going to change? Do you think it's worth talking about if you're the players? Because, usually the NFL is going to do what they want to do.
Go ahead, Mario. I got an opinion on this. Go ahead.
I'm kind of like indifferent on it. It's like one of those things where as soon as like that topic comes up, you got like at least 100 people that have degrees in turf. So that's always good stuff. Like shout out to them. With the case of the Vikings, I do remember seeing something that they're supposed to replace that turf at the end of the season, and they're supposed to do it beforehand, and there's some like type of mix up there. Look, I love grass because I love the look of grass. It just feels grittier. Like I love that. And I also love when you see like the clips in the 80s and they're playing on literally cement. You're like, no wonder everyone's like walking on crutches after the game. It looks terrible. Dave, you definitely have a stronger opinion about this. This is something I could really see you screaming over the fence about. So I'm just gonna let you pop off.
You think I'm gonna take the grass side, right?
Yeah.
You think that's the way I'm gonna 100% going the other way?
Really?
I'm a huge fan. Yes, I'll tell you why. I don't care that these guys get hurt. All right. And I know that's a weird angle to take. I don't care. You know what looks good? The turf looks outstanding on TV. The game is built for TV. Nothing looks worse than when you turn the TV on and there's dead grass. And you're like, what the hell's going on in Tennessee? And guess what? The Titans went with turf this year. Derrick Henry hates it. I don't care. It looks great. This whole game the NFL built is for television. They don't even need the fans. The TV money is everything. It looks better on TV. Used to have a really cool field. The Baltimore Ravens had a really cool field when it was turf. Now, not so impressive. I hate that people complain about the Steelers field. Always come November, December. Oh, it's a mess. It's a disaster. It's like a truck show was just played on there the night before. Guess what? The turf, to me, always looks better. I understand the guys are getting hurt. I don't know if there's a direct correlation. The turf is a lot better than it used to be. It's not the old days like the vet where there was a player on the Chicago Bears blew out both ACLs on the same play. And you can ask your dad about Mario, but it was crazy how bad the turf used to be. Now it's different, man. At most high schools, and I'm sure your high school, Mario, you guys had the newer turf. It's even better now than it was when you were in school just a few years ago. I'm a fan of looking better on TV, and for me, the turf looks outstanding. So tough S.
All right.
I mean, it was already a heated discussion before the season. And then when Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles, it just heats.
He's an old man. It was going to happen anyway.
It's going to happen no matter what. That's what you think?
Yeah, 100%. You wait till you guys get to be 40. You know how many guys, tear their Achilles just stepping out of bed or on a basketball court thinking they can play? It happens all the time.
I don't get how there's so much money in the NFL, but you can't have nice grass. Like, why does Soldier Field always look horrible? I know it's horrible weather.
Like there are actual soldiers on it all week. Yeah. Yeah. Why?
I don't know. That's my question. I know the weather's not good and people are running all over it, but it could be a little bit better than like gray, right? You always put on even the Titans before the turf. Titans had like the worst playing surface. It just looks bad. You think a league that has all this money would have better grass throughout the league, all 32 stadiums.
Yeah, you definitely would think, especially like you said, like a place like the Bears where like you take pride in stuff like that. Like you don't take pride in anything because everything sucks right now. You should at least take pride in like your stadium and your grass, and they just really don't. It's a tricky thing too, because I know the concert venue type is also the other argument. Like they say like the turf's not great because whatever the turf that the players complain about, that's easy to get out and put back in after I don't know, Akon. That was a terrible example. Akon would not do a stadium. That was a terrible artist to just rip.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift would be great. Guns N' Roses, I don't know. Pick your battle. Like it's easier to do that, and so I get that argument. I feel like it's one of those issues that's just not really going to go away because I feel like it's just something that owners aren't going to budge on. Like if we're going to keep having this discussion, it's obviously not going to change. It's just one of those things where the owners just kind of win. And I don't know.
How do they win though? Because if you're spending all this money on a star quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, then as he tears Achilles, you probably feel like a horse's ass because that's the one guy you want. But, I want turf instead because it looks good on TV. Well, I want my star quarterback. So I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand the argument for them.
That's a great rebuttal. I got nothing for you, Josh. That was a great rebuttal. I have no idea.
No, I mean,
you got me.
I'm just like being devil's advocate, but I just don't get it. I mean, you want the players to play. The whole argument with the quarterback rule, right? You don't want to hit the quarterback because you want them on the field, but we're going to put turf down where they're more susceptible to torn Achilles and ACLs and stuff like that. A little bit confused, but enough turf talk. Let's move on to the games.
All right. So looking at a bunch of different, hold on, I got one complaint. Okay. Before we even get into the games, this is one of my things that watching today, and I'm like, all right, enough of this. Cause we saw it even with Joey Bosa in the playoffs in Jacksonville. I'm watching the Ravens and I'm watching the Steelers, and you see a guy on the Ravens get upset when he realizes they're going to lose and takes his helmet, spikes it into the ground. And then there's a guy on the staff immediately go and chase his helmet down and get it back for him. And then you see it again in the Chiefs game, and you see it all the time. Guys just throwing their helmets. And the guy on the staff go ahead and chasing it down. Literally, if I was a head coach, dude, don't touch another person's helmet again. He throws his equipment, he has to go get it. And if he can't go get it and he misses a play because we have to find his backup to stick in the game, he's going to get fined for not being ready to go in the game. Stop throwing your stuff, man. It's just ridiculous. Watching these guys. When Joey Bosa did it last year, we got on Staley like crazy, right, for picking up his helmet. Not only was he cussing you out, you went and got his helmet for him. Enough already. That's one of those things like, dude, these guys who are complaining about turf and grass and everything else, and you can't hold your equipment, it's like kids throwing temper tantrums. You don't sit there and respect that behavior. I'm burnt out on that stuff. All right, so here you go. That's just me saying, these guys, man, let's get over it. Do your job. Guess what? You won't be throwing your freaking helmet. For me, guys, the game that I was looking forward to going into this week on the schedule, we spoke about it on the show about 6 weeks ago. It was the Broncos Jets. And people go, why are the Broncos Jets? They both stink. Both terrible teams. Because we all know that Sean Payton crossed the fraternity line of saying what Nathaniel Hackett did with the Broncos was the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL. And now Nathaniel Hackett's still a coach, not a head coach. You'd love to probably get an opportunity again. Probably won't. But Sean Payton didn't have to say anything. He just has to say there's a lot of work to be done because my coaching style is different than the coach before me or whatever. But he didn't take that road. Well, then you see Jets, Broncos games in Denver. Nathaniel Hackett coming back as the offensive coordinator for the Jets to face off against Sean Payton's defense, and the Jets pull it out. And I don't know about you guys, but I was rooting for the Jets big time today, probably more so than I ever have in my life. I don't think I've ever rooted for the Jets. But I wanted Sean Payton to taste the agony and feel a little bit embarrassed when he had to walk off the field knowing the guy you ripped as the worst coach in the history of the NFL beat your ass today.
I mean, Sean Payton has put on a masterclass on how to screw this whole thing up from the very beginning. I mean, coming into this job, we even said on this show we would love Sean Payton to be the replacement for Brandon Staley if the Chargers were to fire Brandon Staley at the beginning of this season, or the end of last season. Sean Payton, I don't know what the hell happened to him when he went into TV and came back. He developed this giant ego, bigger than he already had before, talking trash about another coach, which is the number one rule you're not supposed to do in coaching. And then his team really stinks. Like the AFC West, remember going into last year, was supposed to be the juggernaut division. We have two of the worst teams in the league in this division. I mean, Sean Payton, to me, has lost so much respect, not just from like fans like us, but players on his own team, players in the league, people that look up on the leadership side. I don't understand what the hell happened to Sean Payton.
It's so fun to see. Like, it's fun to see a guy with that big of an ego, the guy that kind of breaks the unwritten rules of the coaching in the NFL, a guy that goes on shows and pretty much gives off the impression that I'm not interviewing for jobs, I'm interviewing them for the job. And you see all this, and then at the end of the day, the Broncos have the worst defense, arguably top 5 worst team in the AFC. You can make a strong argument they're the worst team in the AFC West. And I'm with you, Dave. I was cheering so hard for the Jets today. And I first started out hating Zach Wilson. Now I'm like trying to cheer for him. Like, dude, it's not that bad. Come on, keep your head up there, little guy. You can still do it. It's just this game was so ugly and it was so fun. And it just reminded me that this Broncos team is weak, that this Broncos team needs to be swept by the Chargers, and reminded me that they're just not even a threat. Like, the fact is Vance Joseph has no control of that defense. That defense is horrendous. Russell Wilson, better than last year, but still not there. That receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. Their run game's really nothing. It was more of Russell Wilson than anything today. You can kill them on the ground if you really want to. Every running back has a career day against them. They're nothing to worry about. They're nothing to watch out for. They're just simply there. And I think, we're in week 5. I could see this team breaking apart by week 10. And it's just it's one of those things when we wake up on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, it might be a slow morning, and there's stories coming out constantly, Dave, of something going on, some turmoil that's going on in that Broncos locker room.
Yeah, it's a complete mess, right? And they wanted to blame a lot of people and point a lot of fingers. Remember, this is new ownership. So, this is ownership that's now in their second year, who now has their franchise quarterback. They now have their franchise coach, and yet the Broncos are in worse shape than they were 3 years ago. So, how did this happen? And where are the Broncos? If I'm not mistaken, the Broncos haven't been a postseason, team of relevance since they won the Super Bowl against the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. They haven't done anything. This used to be one of the franchises that people always looked at as an elite franchise, and they're far from it. Speaking of franchises that were once considered elite franchises, including being the best franchise, the New England Patriots. New England Patriots lose today 34-0. Have been outscored 72-3 in the last 2 weeks. So I don't think too many people feel bad for the Patriots.
I don't feel bad for the Patriots. I hate the Patriots. If anybody feels bad for the Patriots that's not a Patriots fan, you got to look yourself in the mirror. You got something seriously wrong with you. For everything that we all went through, no matter what, it could be any team in the league. What's the team that least had a problem with the Patriots? Let's say, I don't even know, like the Raiders or something. Some team that the Patriots didn't play all that often. You hate the Patriots. We all hate the Patriots. I don't feel bad for the Patriots. Just like when Greg Popovich sucks with the Spurs, I don't feel bad for you at all. At all. Not even a little bit. If Bill Belichick wasn't Bill Belichick, he would have got fired by now. That team freaking sucks. And not only do they suck, they draft terribly. And they drafted terribly when they had Tom Brady. They've been doing it for years. I don't understand this whole Bill Belichick's so great thing. He hasn't done anything without Tom Brady. I understand he's still great. Defense has been great before these past few years.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks been horrible. They signed J.C. Jackson. They don't even know what they're doing over there. But yeah, I just don't feel bad for the Patriots. And Bill Belichick, do you guys think he has a chance of losing his job? Is that what the next step is here?
Ooh, I don't know if lose his job. I could see as one of those mutual agreements to step away, where it's he's giving it behind closed door. It's hey, we either fire you or you retire. You choose the route you want to go. And he kind of put himself in this hole, right? You get a Well, last year you get Matt Patricia, who was a good defensive coordinator, not a great defensive coordinator, who just had a terrible situation going on in Detroit. You hire him as your offensive coordinator with a QB that still needed a lot of development, and you surround him with absolutely zero weapons, and then you expected success out of it. What is that thinking? What is your logical thinking there? Like, how did you think that was going to work? And you look at that and you're like, you set Mac Jones up for failure. He was a guy that he could have been great. I think he needed to be in like a Niners system to be great, which I guess when he came to New England, that kind of was in a way. But then you don't do him any favors. You go against every way that a team's being built right now. Like you said, Josh, you draft terrible, and you draft for positions that you don't really need. You don't focus on getting a number one wide receiver. And then now you suck. And now you have a QB in back-to-back games, has thrown over 150 yards, has 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns, and has a QBR of 39.3. And in case you're a casual, that's not good, and that's 27th in the NFL. That's piss freaking poor. The guy sucks. I'm sorry, Bill. You kind of lost your fastball. We had a YouTube question that I'll ask you guys. In this hypothetical situation, and we put our conspiracies hat on and we hang out with conspiracy theorists. If let's just say the Chargers need a new head coach and they go head coach shopping, and Bill Belichick, him and Kraft, they split, would you hire Bill Belichick? And I read it, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna honestly think about this for a second, and then I go, absolutely not. I would say I'm okay, thank you. I just don't. The Patriot Way was a great way, but it's no longer the way. The Mandalorian wouldn't even follow that. How do you like that one?
You just bang that pencil against your head.
Against the hat, but yeah.
Against that. Josh, go ahead, you answer.
I'm with Mario 100%. The Patriot Way only works in New England. And if he came over to LA or any other team, he would want the Sean Payton thing where he has full control of, being the GM, being the coach. He'll probably decide what type of popcorn you serve in the stands. Like, he wants everything under his control. And you just do not want that, because it becomes like a dictatorship, right? Like, it's basically, it all goes through one person, and it's just does not work like that, especially in the NFL. You need so many people to collab to make great decisions. I don't think Bill Belichick would be the way if the Chargers were to, look for him as a coach in a hypothetical situation.
All right, so here's the deal with the Bill Belichick situation, okay? He has a terrible roster that he actually handpicked, okay? I mean, the coaching thing last year was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen at any level, taking a defensive coordinator who's never coached offense and making him the offensive coordinator, and it was a complete disaster. Their lineup that they have that they put out every single day is so bad. I mean, Judon was their best player. Now he's injured. They don't even have him. It is such a bad team. Look, I don't know what Mac Jones is. Mario, you love to take shots at him. I don't know what he is. All I know is he has no chance of having success playing with Bill Belichick. None. And I don't know what Bryce Young is, but all I know is Bryce Young is not going to have any success with that roster that he has in Carolina. So if I was Kraft, I would go to Belichick and say, look, I want you to stay. I know you have goals that you want to achieve, meaning you want to be the winningest coach in NFL history. And this is how close he is, guys, to being the winningest coach in NFL history. We know about the Super Bowl's fine. He has 299 career wins. There's only 2 people ahead of him. It's George Halas has 318, right? Belichick can catch him. And Don Shula has 328. So not only would he be the winningest coach in career wins, but also in Super Bowls, which, hell, it's an argument to rename the Lombardi Trophy. I mean, it's pretty amazing. The Patriots don't want to fire him, but he doesn't have the roster to succeed. And telling him that, hey, guess what? You don't know how to pick players would be a big blow to the ego. If he says, I'm not going to resign unless you let me keep both the jobs, then you got to fire him. If I was the Chargers, I offer the same deal I'm saying right now the Patriots should be offering him. I would take him as my head coach. And I believe he can still coach. I just believe he needs to coach only. To be a guy that's looking at college games and thinking about the draft and everything else and what else everyone else has on the roster for possible free agents is not, basically going to work for what the Patriots need to do to win games. He needs to do to win games. It takes up too much time. It's not a one-man job. But if I was the Chargers, think about what that would do for the Chargers, guys. You're talking about season tickets. You're talking about national attention, all the stuff that Dean Spanos would love. The national attention that the Chargers would get by having Bill Belichick, that'd be a huge NFL story having Belichick come to Los Angeles, the number 2 media market. That'd be a big deal.
The Chargers never hire big name head coaches.
Oh, that's
look
true.
at the last few they've hired. I mean, Anthony Lynn, Mike McCoy, Brandon Staley. It's the who's who of who's who. Nobody knows who any of these people are. I mean, for God's sakes, every time the Chargers hire a new coach, I got to go on Google to be like, who is this? And I knew who Brandon Staley was because he's on the Rams. But Mike McCoy and Anthony Lynn, I'm like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Marty Schottenheimer, the biggest name I can, remember that they hired, they fired after 14-2. I mean, I just don't understand the Chargers with their coaching hires. People were going up my neck in the comments for my Tom Telesco, what I said about Tom Telesco. I think he's a good GM. I think he's a better GM at picking players than Bill Belichick is. I'd rather have Tom Telesco pick players than Bill Belichick. And Dave made a great point. You want your coach to coach. I don't need him scouting USC, Colorado. Like, dude, just worry about this week. Worry about beating the Saints. I don't need you to look at all these college games. Like, I don't know if that's what he's actually doing. But if you're having your coach draft, you leak into that Jerry Jones situation. You're like, dude, we have football guys and we have business guys. You're a business guy. You're talking about Jerry Jones. We got football guys. Do the football stuff. Just coach, man. Just coach. And if that was what he did with the Chargers, which I don't think he would do because he wants control of everything, then yeah, hire him. But that's never going to happen.
It is such a crazy concept, right? Like, I want to be the coach in the GM. Like, do you really know what that entails? Like, do you really know? Yeah. Like, that is so much time and time away. And it's like, yeah, you got to worry about facing Josh Allen this week. Oh, yeah, there's a receiver, by the way, for USC you really need to watch tape over. And you're like, gosh darn it. Like, because you can't cram that after the season. You got enough stuff going on. When you vacation, because, as soon as the season ends, you're like, well, I got to start watching Illinois, Nebraska, and see this Illinois corner that I completely ignored for 6 months. Like, that would just be hell. But other things that happened too in NFL Week 5, in case you guys is wondering, if you guys want to talk about this, if not, this is a safe space. Fields better than Jones?
I still say no. Come on.
Yeah,
no.
good take.
I say no. Well, you and I had this argument in the summertime. I don't think either one of them right now are the guy. I wouldn't put my franchiser on either one of these quarterbacks.
But which one you would still take Jones over Fields?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't. If I ran a franchise and both those guys were free agents, I wouldn't look at either one of those players. Neither one of those guys are going to change the future of my organization. I'm not a fan of either player right now.
Okay, so the question was, someone put their politic hat on. Fields or Mac Jones, and you have a gun to your head?
First of all, call the cops. Somebody has a gun to my head. Okay, I'm going to go Jones. How about that? I'm just going to go Jones because I know it upsets you.
Okay. It's all right. Josh?
I'd go Fields because of recency bias. The last 2 weeks, he looks great. Mac Jones looks horrible just because of that. I think it's awesome that Justin Fields said, I will not be listening to coaches. I know. I understand. Justin Fields' team sucks too. Like, let's not act like he's throwing to like the best players over there either. DJ Moore is better than anything Mac Jones has, but that team sucks. I think it's just awesome that Justin Fields said, I will not be listening to coaches anymore. And he's been balling ever since. Like, I give him credit for that. That's sick. But yeah, Mac Jones. Remember when Tua was with Brian Flores in Miami and they hated each other and it was all weird? I mean, that's how I feel like Mac Jones is with the city of Boston. Like they boo him every game. You just got to get the guy out of there. I don't know where he would go, but his time with New England is coming up to an end. Like, that's just not going to work.
I will say, what bothers me about Mac Jones, Mario? He's Grayson Allen. I hate Grayson Allen. Like, he does dirty stuff. I'm like, come on, man. You don't want the reputation of being the guy that punches guys in the nickels. You know what I mean? Like, he's a dirty player. I can't stand Grayson Allen. It bothers me that Mac Jones is an Alabama guy that I used to cheer for, and he's known as the dirty guy.
You can't be the dirty guy and suck. Be the dirty guy and you're good. That's cool. Be the dirty guy and you suck. No one likes you, and you deserve not to be liked. I agree with you, by the way, Josh. I think Mac Jones needs to get the hell out of there. Like, Boston's one of those cities, kind of similar to Zach Wilson in a way. When you start to go to your decline, you need to go to a softer city. Like, it's just a city that's just simply not going to nail you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go from there's a lot of jokes you could just made right there and everything I said, and Josh's head already went there, and I appreciate it. But, you can't go from, Boston. If You can't go from Boston to Chicago because then you're like, dude, this is gonna get a lot worse for you. You gotta go to like Boston to like Nashville. Yeah, that's where you're gonna go.
Who would you rather have, Mac Jones or Will Levis?
Mac Jones. Yeah,
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
In that system, he actually could do really well.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think it was a good call by you. Going to a softer city would help him out tremendously.
softer city, nicer coach, bigger coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need something bigger.
He's what from Florida? Isn't he from Florida?
He's from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I like that call. Yeah, I don't know. The Mac Jones thing is, like it's coming to an end soon. It's ugly to watch. He doesn't look good. Matt Patricia is laughing in case you're listening. The whole thing is bad. Bill O'Brien, everybody wanted to say, oh my God, we got Bill O'Brien. He was the OC for Alabama last year, and he's horrible. Horrible. I don't know what people thought him going to New England was going to make everything better. He was terrible with Alabama last year. Mario, got another question for you. Can you be considered a good player if you get hurt every single game? Anthony Richardson gets hurt every single game. I don't care that he can throw the ball 80 yards from his knees or he runs a 4.3. He gets hurt every single game. The best ability is availability, and he is never available. What the hell's going on?
I'm so happy you said this. When he got hurt again today, I typed it and I didn't send it because it was about 9 Colts fans in the group chat. I would have been very outnumbered. But, like, this is a worry if you're the Colts, is it not? Like, this young in his career, he's going to miss – we already missed game. He's missed probably 2 games put all together. He's going to probably miss next week, maybe close to 2. This is a guy that does not have a lot of football played that you need played, and he's a potential guy, and potential guys need a lot of reps. You can't get those reps when you're hurt. You can't keep moving up if you're hurt. I think this is like – I mean, I don't think it's an end-all, be-all right now, but it is something scary and just something to monitor. Like, this is a guy that you need to just learn and to make mistakes. It's hard to do that when you're not on the field. We just saw this Trey Lance thing. We just saw it, right? Hasn't played a lot of football, got hurt a lot. What happens? The team runs out of patience. He doesn't get better. And boom, you're out and you're on to your next place. And it's a more of a what if than what we know. It's worrisome to me, Dave. I think it's something the Colts need to worry about. And, we heard all the time, he's a big guy. He can take these hits. Big guy can take these hits. Doesn't matter if you're big. Things still break. Like, things can still happen to you. And it's worrisome, I think, this early in this guy's career.
No, I agree. I blame the Colts 100% for what's going on. This is where they haven't told him, we don't want you to put yourself in these situations. I blame the Colts for saying, you're an incredible athlete. That's the reason why we drafted you. We want you to do whatever it takes to get the ball down the field. When it's time to run. When it's time to pass. We talked about it a little bit with Justin Herbert, kind of being smart with your body on when you're going to run. When Anthony Richardson got hurt today, it was almost his own doing. It wasn't like, the player pushed him into the ground. He fell on the ground on his right shoulder, and he knew right away he was jacked up. I mean, immediately it was to the locker room. And so you wonder, how long is it going to be out? And then when it's a shoulder injury, you wonder, if there's a tear, and is there surgery, and is he out for the rest of the year? All that stuff scares you with the Colts and his growth. The deal is it's the NFL. It's so much different than college football that these guys are big and fast. And, we say it all the time that just because you have a guy like a Reggie Bush who could get around the corner and then show how fast he was, he couldn't do that in the NFL. He could not get around the corner. So as good as Anthony Richardson is with the running and going against other teams' defense, it's the way they stop it. In a couple games, just to mention guys, I'm watching Alabama yesterday, and guess what? They just put a spy on him, and then they forced him to make the decision to throw, and the run's gone. And then you realize he's not a very good thrower. And then you look at the situation with Lamar Jackson when he first came in the NFL. Man, he was great at running, but when they dared him to throw, he wasn't great at it. And then he's become very good at it. And, Jalen is a great runner for the Eagles, but Jalen has a different body, man. I think Jalen's like the only quarterback I can think of that can withstand the pounding, and they are not worried about him getting hurt. He's just physically built like a extremely strong guy. Josh has told you stories already about how he was the strongest guy at Alabama when he was a freshman. He just has a different body than let's say an Anthony Richardson type guy. I would not put my quarterback in that situation, a guy that you plan on giving $55 million a year to.
Yeah, I don't even know how you fix this problem if you're the Colts, because you draft him. He's such a great dual threat quarterback. Not that he's not great, but he's really fast and can throw. You think he could do both. If he's a pocket passer, well, you would have never drafted him high at all. He probably wouldn't get drafted at all, actually, because his passing isn't great, but he's so fast. That's why you would draft him. You take away one side of his skill. I mean, good luck. I mean, Gardner Minshew to me looks way better when he plays. He looks like the way better quarterback. CJ Stroud, do you think it's been blown out of proportion, Mario, the CJ Stroud thing? They lose today at the very end. They should have won. The defense completely blew it. CJ Stroud as good as everybody says he is?
I think he's all that and more. I really do. Like, I'm all in on him. This is a guy that's doing this with, if you want to talk about lack of weapons as well, I mean, Nico Collins is wide receiver one. Dalton Schultz, like, he doesn't have a lot to throw to. He gets a lot of it done. He does not make mistakes. No interceptions. 5 weeks into the football season for CJ Stroud. He's confident. He makes the right throws. The only ding I've heard about him is his bad ball rate's pretty high. I look at that, and my counter to that is he's a rookie. And the fact that if you're going to tell me his bad ball rate is really high, and I look at the sheet and I go, okay, now show me the turnovers, show me the mistakes, show me where he lost this game for the Texans, show me where he put his team in a bad spot, it'd be very, very hard to do that. I think he's mature. I think it's another example of how when you want to draft a QB, you look for a guy that's been around the block in college, because then that means he's going to be around the block in the NFL. He's been everything and more. I also think DeMeco Ryans is a hell of a coach. That's a team that is very, very young, who's going to need to keep building talent. Claypool was traded to the Dolphins. That was a team I could have saw maybe take a swing at Claypool just to maybe help with Stroud and see, like, hey, maybe this guy could help string stuff together. But, Claypool does have an attitude problem and other issues that they probably didn't want to deal with. But to me, Dave, I think Stroud's by clear the best rookie. I think he's a leader for offensive rookie of the year. Like, it's to me, it's just Stroud everything.
Couldn't agree with you more. He's been outstanding. Completely has surprised me. I mean, again, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's on pace to throw for 4,000 yards. His coach is a great coach, but he's a defensive coach, and he's still having success on the offensive side of the ball. I understand if you're a Texans fan, you're saying he doesn't get the ball in the end zone enough. You just went through a variety of reasons why he doesn't. He doesn't have the offensive weapons. How good can this kid be when the game starts to slow down even more for him, and he does have offensive weapons? I mean, God forbid you actually give him 2 wide receivers to throw to. I think this is always a knock on Ohio State. Ohio State does not put good quarterbacks in the NFL. It's not a shot at Fields, but they don't. Going all the way back to Art Schlichter, who was an Indianapolis Colt, who was just a complete bust and gambled his life away. The Ohio State has never put a good quarterback in the league. And so for this kid to actually step up and be that guy, good for him. Honestly, good for him. From the track record of the last 40 years, where he came from and what he's doing, he's completely turned the tables, and he has been much, much better than I anticipated.
Shout out to the Houston Texans drafting him, and then Will Anderson back-to-back picks. I believe it was. You get your leader on defense, you get your leader on offense in the same draft, and you build around those guys with your brand new head coach who everybody seems to love. I listened to an interview with DeMeco Ryans. The question was, why has CJ Stroud been so successful? He said, sometimes coaches try to say to players, this is my system. You're going to come in and you're going to run my system. He said, the reason why we believe we've had success is because we've coached to his strengths. And when you watch the Texans, he's not doing crazy, stuff like Patrick Mahomes, but he's getting the job done, and he's really good. And I shout out to the Houston Texans for making that work. So to me, I thought one of the more boring games was the Chiefs and Vikings. I thought it was going to be really, more exciting, more points. The Chiefs don't look that great to me. And I know that's crazy, right? Because they won and it's the Chiefs. Mario, are you scared of the Chiefs as much as usual, or what do you think it is?
Out of all their teams they've had, I'd say in the past 3 to 4 years, this is definitely a team I think is the most vulnerable. One, they got really lucky at the end of that game that Willie Snead didn't get called for the taking off the helmet on the field, and that the ref literally told him, put your helmet back on. So nice to be a Chiefs fan, nice to be a Chief right there. Dude, this receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, more drops today, and I'm sitting there going, when Kelsey was hurt for that millisecond, came back, but it's literally like, dude, if Kelsey gets hurt, that team is in serious, serious trouble. That defense is strong, and obviously Mahomes, but this is a loaded AFC. That team could be in serious serious trouble. There's warning signs all around that team. They're not invincible. They're not a juggernaut. I'm still concerned about them because they're the Chiefs and they've won 2 Super Bowls in the past 4 years. I probably to 3 out of the 4, just off the top of my head. At the same time, I do believe that this is the most vulnerable team. Like, what do you say, Dave? Like, when you look at this, there's a lot of ways to beat this team.
Yeah, I would, but they keep figuring it out. That's what frustrates me. I mean, I've seen it in person. I've seen it on TV. Every time you think the Chiefs are down or they're ready to take a step backwards, whether it's Tyreek Hill, whether it's Kelsey, you name it, whether it's here's what bothers me most about the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs, just like everyone else who's watching this Charger podcast. It's the problem with the Chiefs is their defense right now. The offense, you guys are 100% right about. There's a lot to be desired outside of the 2 big names. But damn, man, that defense outside of Chris Jones, everyone on that defense is like in their first or second year, and they're really good.
Looks
and
great.
It drives me crazy. They shouldn't be that good. They should be playing catch-up ball and do everything they can to outscore the other team because the defense hasn't matured yet. This defense is mature, and they're really good. And man, it is hard to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody put in our group text when Kelsey went out, man, if Kelsey is out, the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. This is the best thing to happen to LA Chargers. And I'm not going to say who wrote that, but I'm just saying, as a Charger fan, yeah, that's the wrong thing to think. But in your mind, you're thinking if Kelsey's out, boy, it changes everything what the Chargers are trying to accomplish this year. But until Kelsey and Mahomes miss games, guess what? The Chiefs are still going to be the favorites to win the AFC West.
As long as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on the same team, they're going to be the favorites. And the Chargers haven't proven they can overtake the Chiefs. They're going to do it this year, though. I believe it. Each week, I look at the football games into 3 parts. How do the Chargers do? How do my fantasy teams do? And how do the teams that the Chargers compete with do, right? You got to look at what's going around the league. This week was a win for the Chargers. The Ravens and the Bills, hey, not very good. The Ravens might have as bad a receiving corps as the Chiefs. Almost the same situation, right? Really good tight end. Drop passes everywhere. Rashad Bateman, right off the hands. Nelson Aguilar, right off the hands. I mean, they're dropping everything Lamar Jackson threw today. As a Charger fan, I love to see that the Ravens lose to the Steelers, a team that just got smacked, last week, I believe. I mean, it's just awesome to see that the Ravens did not look good. Lamar Jackson, to me, looks really good. The rest of the team, I feel like the Ravens are very, very beatable.
I hate the Ravens. I hate the Ravens. I hate the Ravens so freaking much. Also, the person that said that in the group chat, his name rhymes with cave. They won't use context clues.
Who said those terrible things about injuries?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Rumor has it. Look, the Ravens, they are the definition of we shoot ourselves in the foot. That's their MO. That's all they do. Even when things look like Lamar was putting together a drive, he made actually really pretty passes. I'm like, damn, guys really put him on the money. And then it's just right through the breadbasket. I mean, that just right through. It's like the Easter egg basket was 20 years old, and you just popped an egg in there and went right through. And I'm like, wow. Do you remember that tweet, by the way? Can we just circle back to remember I think it was a week before week 1. I sent you guys this tweet because it drove me insane. They were like, yeah, Ravens were told by their scouts that people will beg for the receiving core. Yeah. Who the hell begs for that receiving core? Odell Beckham Jr., who's never there. And stop running Zay Flowers on jet sweeps inside the 10. It does not work. They do that all the time. It does not work. I can let you know that it's going to happen. I can take my 2-year-old niece that can't say a freaking word and put her that close to the screen, and she'll turn around and look at me and go, it's going to happen. That's just what everyone knows. So stop running it. They're a frustrating team. Their sports performance staff is the worst staff I think I've ever seen because everyone's hurt all the freaking time. They're a disappointment. They're an overkiller. They're a teaser killer. Lamar Jackson's a fantasy killer. They're a team full of losers. I can't stand that organization. I can't stand when people mention them in betting. Don't bet them. Don't look at them. As soon as they're on your TV, you punch a hole through your TV and you move on with your day. That's just what you have to do. They're frauds. The frauds Ravens.
By the way, you're right. They're hurt all the time, and they play on a grass field. See, going back to the argument about the turf.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for the circle back.
They are. I mean, I'm telling you, they are. They're hurt all the time. Couldn't agree more. I don't know what it is. I like watching the Ravens games, but I would never bet the Ravens game. Everything you said is 100% true. Everything you said is exactly right. I know you get frustrated with them, but for some reason, I find myself liking to see what they do. I don't watch Raven games and go, man, I'm bored. I just don't get bored. I get bored watching Falcons games. I don't get bored watching Ravens games. Speaking of a team that used to bore the hell out of me and now does not at all anymore, and I look forward to watching them play. We spoke about this on week 1. It's the Detroit Lions, Mara. The Detroit Lions are fun to watch. Who ever thought they would ever say that? I've been watching Thanksgiving games since I was a little kid and going, why in the hell are the Lions on my TV? And now when the Lions are playing, literally, I was looking for the Lions game today. And I love what they do. I love the fact that they traded their tight end last year, who's one of the better tight ends in the league, to someone inside the division, a team they were actually chasing. And they're better off now than they were a year ago with him out, with TJ Hawkinson out and Laporta in. They're a better team. They got a better tight end. And I mean, they're moving in the right direction. Who would have thought that the Lions would all of a sudden be a smart organization? And that's what they look like right now.
Dude, the balls on trading your tight end, who, like you said, is kind of a stud. Hawkinson's kind of a stud. In the division, you draft a tight end from the same school. It's Iowa, Laporta.
Yeah.
He was an absolute baller, and now you're just whooping everybody's ass. Miami Dolphins, Chargers, and Lions. Those are my top 3 most fun teams to watch. It is a show. Shout out to the Lions, man. I love watching Lions play. And they have like 12 receivers. How do they have 12 receivers? Every team has like 4. They have like 12. Yeah. It's like you watch fantasy football. It's like Khalif Raymond had a touchdown. Like, who the hell is Khalif Raymond? They have so many receivers on that team. Josh Reynolds. Like, they have all these receivers. But shout out to Dan Campbell. I thought it was like a joke at first last season, his rah-rah stuff. I'm like, okay, it's going to wear off. And he's the deal. Like, I love watching the Lions play.
And I think their offense has, like, not even scratched the surface where they can be, right? Like, they didn't have Gibbs, and they keep doing this thing where they're, like, hiding him, which doesn't make any sense. And, like, all right, let's unleash the guy already. And we haven't even seen what Jameson Williams can be yet. Like, he's still, like, we're still waiting on that. St. Brown's obviously a stud. He just not always able to play, which kind of stinks. But, like, that offense still can be so dangerous and so much more. Their offensive coordinator is a genius. He's going to be a head coach by next year. I can't believe I'm saying it either. Like, they're fun to watch. They're a team that's like, wow, they're a smart team. Like, who thought we'd ever say Detroit's a smart team? They're a team to always put on the TV, like you said. The team that was on that list for me, Josh, that I think is going to get moved off after this week, just because, once again, their defense getting plugged by the injuries. Buffalo Bills. I mean, just when you think it's like the Al Pacino thing, like, as soon as I'm out, they pull me back in. Like, they just pulled me back into not believing in them anymore. Just because that defense just has so many just woes in it. And I'm like, gosh, Von Miller goes out after playing just a quarter. Matt Milano goes out. They had another linebacker go out. They're obviously Porter's out in this secondary. Hamlin didn't even play today, so they're on your third string safety. There's just so many. They get so dinged up, and then Allen bots out and just like tweaks all over the place. You're like, whoa, what's going on in there, buddy? Like, someone get him new batteries. Like, it's just they go from must-see TV to, all right, we should have canceled this after the 3rd season.
That's why the NFL is great. I'm going to tell you right now. A week ago at this time, we thought the Bills were the best team in the AFC. Now they're 3-2. Yeah. Chargers win next week. Guess what? They're 3-2 also. I mean, it is outstanding to watch. As I said, as we're doing the show now, Niners are taking on the Cowboys. But if the Niners win, the Niners and the Eagles will be the only teams that are undefeated. The fact Jalen Hurts, the crazy stat today was Jalen is now 22-1 in his last 23 games as a starting quarterback. That's insane. In the NFL, in college, high school, those are insane numbers. But the Eagles are so talented. When you watch the Eagle-Rams game, you're sitting there going, it's amazing how much talent that Philadelphia has. And people will say it's a better roster now than the team that made it to the Super Bowl. It is a fun season to watch. And I'm telling you, it's going to come down to the last week of the season. Because if you look at the standings now, yeah, there's certain teams that are out. But there are a lot of teams that are exactly the same situation the Chargers are in, where they're going to be battling this thing out for the last playoff spots to see who just makes it in. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be great all the way through as we move forward. On Tuesday's show, guys, we're going to have Cowboy talk, of course, and see where the Chargers are at, how it's going to go in the matchups. And Thursday, same thing, and we'll be ready to go. But it's going to be a fun week. As someone who does shows like this, like we do, and other shows that people listen to, you'll see this is the worst time normally, right? Bye week talk is usually the worst. But man, the NFL keeps it exciting for all of us, and there's always something there that connects the Chargers. Before we get out of here, I do want to mention the J.C. Jackson situation a little bit more. What's your guys' opinion on J.C. Jackson's recent comments and coming back to the Patriots?
Well, let's circle back to the report that he had his shoes untied in the last game and refused to go in. What? Like, you have your shoes untied, you refuse to go in the NFL. You're getting paid so much money to play football, to play a game. We all have 9-to-5 jobs that we hate, and you get to play football, and you came and tie your shoes and help out your team. Talk about one of the worst signings ever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. J.C. Jackson's such a disappointment on the field, but his personality and everything off the field is even worse, and that's saying a lot. I'm happy the Patriots took him away. I don't know why any team would take him, even though the Chargers are paying a salary. You don't want a guy like that on your team. And when you heard these comments and what he said and what happened on the sideline, it just solidifies that he's just not good for the Chargers or any other team.
When I heard that, I thought of, you didn't even have the awareness to just do it for your teammates. I don't care what problem you have with the coach, have the GM, the owner, whatever. At that moment, someone gets injured off the field. That's what it was. Michael Davis came off the field. Just for your team, for the guy next to you, you don't go, all right, I'll go in. And you can make the argument if you're in his camp, you'd be like, well, when he was in New England, he usually didn't play the first series because he needed to be warmed up. That was the thing he did in New England. And then he said, didn't go because he didn't get warmed up. That's a piss poor excuse. I get it, your frustration. You're not playing well. You got healthy scratched and you're a very high paid corner. But you can't set your ego aside in that moment and play football. Is the most ridiculous thing. We said it could have been a distraction. It was worse than we thought, and it was only going to definitely get worse from there, especially because with that happening, I think you lose a lot of teammates' respect because it's like your contracts, a lot of that's guaranteed. So it's not like you're playing for a contract because you got the contract. It's different if you don't have the contract. You got the contract. I think you lost respect to your teammates. You lose a lot of respect for your head coach, your position coach, which I guarantee is a lot closer to the position coach than the head coach. It was a bad signing. It was a bad situation. And I'm very, very happy, blessing the skies, that they cut ties with it and got out of it while they could.
Man, I tell you what, it really irritates me. I mean, not just because it's the Chargers, just because the kind of person that you are, right? When you agree to do a job, you give the best effort you possibly can. And that's just the way it is. Whether you have a job at a fast food restaurant and go, man, this isn't my dream job, you still agree to do it. They didn't pull you out of your house and drag you into that drive-through window. You went there and asked for this job. J.C. Jackson went through the process of becoming an NFL player, and he reached the top. A lot of people wanted to be NFL players. Well, guess what? He got paid very handsomely. A lot of guys in this league don't. Yet the fact he untied his shoes and refused to go back in, if I was the Chargers, honestly, I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't have paid him the last game check. I would have said, you know what, we were going to pay you, but guess what? Our printer ran out of ink, and it didn't work. Just like your shoes couldn't be tied. We could have put ink in the printer, but we didn't do it. You didn't tie your shoes. You didn't go in the game. You refused to go in and help our team compete. We paid you a lot of money, more money than almost everybody that's standing next to you, and yet you still couldn't go in. I wish the Chargers would have made this more public, and I wish they would really refused to pay his game check to make it a huge story to show what kind of person J.C. Jackson is. Because again, he has ripped the Chargers off every single week. I know we made jokes about J.C. Jackson wears a mask when he picks up his check on Fridays because he's been stealing money for weeks. But this puts me at a whole nother level as irritated with a human being. And he goes back to New England. Of course, he goes back to New England, where, by the way, he didn't show up to his court date, couldn't pay his $300 fine when he had $82.5 million. He just always takes a shortcut, always does the wrong thing. He's a bad decision maker. Good luck to Bill Belichick and the Patriots for having him. I believe he had one tackle today, right, in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He had one tackle. I hope he ends up being a bust. I definitely root nothing but the worst for J.C. Jackson. Everything I root bad against Travis Kelce, tenfold towards J.C. Jackson. F you.
Bolt City.
Seriously. Yeah, seriously. Just pissed off with that guy, man. I can't tell you how angry I am. I wish his teammates would have done something. I'm not saying take him and try and beat the hell out of him. I'm saying, what are you doing? Just in his face. You see guys screaming at each other all the time. Players have no problem yelling at a 76-year-old coach on the sideline or pushing him like Kelce did today in the Eagles game. Why not? Where was Khalil Mack? Where were these guys to get in his face? Grab him by the jersey. Take his helmet. Throw it towards the locker room. Go pick it up. Your car keys are in there too. Get in the car. Get the hell out of here. I wish somebody veteran would have made it clear how lucky you are and how blessed you are to be in this situation. But you refuse to cross that white line to play football for the Chargers.
Yeah. Do you think the players on the team knew that was happening?
Of course. You kidding me?
It's Derwin James. Derwin James is that guy. I mean, of
course they know.
Secondary.
If you look down, have you ever had a teammate refuse to go into a game? In any sport. You have? In what? Basketball or football? Have you had someone do it?
One of my college friends did Devontae Davis and quit at halftime of a basketball game.
Well, good for him. At least he quit. At least he went home. But the coach didn't say, hey, guess what? We got to get you in. And he refused to go in. That's nuts. That I don't know. I would not have handled that well if that was me on the team. I'm not just talking. I think I literally would have fought him on the sideline. I would have been that angry to go, we're all sweating and working our asses off and watch a ton of film for this moment, and you refuse to go in the game to help us out.
People lose perspective on what it is. I mean, dude, you're playing the NFL. You know how much time and effort and money goes into this right here, and you can't tie your freaking shoes. Michael Davis' shoes are tied. He's getting his ass kicked all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have teammates. It's not tennis where you're the only one getting hurt. You have teammates. There are 52 guys standing right there. Somebody take his shoe off and beat the hell out of him with it.
Bars of soap in the pillowcase.
Whatever it takes. I just never seen anything like it.
Can you imagine Khalil Mack puts him in a trash can upside down on the sideline? The camera pans over, it's just JC Jackson in a trash can. You're like, what?
just going back.
What's going on over there?
Just going back old school days. Junior Seau, you couldn't do that on a Junior Seau team. You couldn't do that with Rodney Harrison. That wouldn't have. So I'm saying that wouldn't have gone. Damn. I don't know. Mario, I got to tell you real quick because Josh said it. I used to work for a guy who told us that somebody got upset with him. He was our boss, and they picked him up and dumped him upside down in a trash can. And I started laughing. And he goes, what are you laughing at? I almost died in there. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, it was lined in plastic. I couldn't breathe. And, dude, I wish he never told me because he was my boss. Dude, I couldn't breathe. Thinking of this guy not breathing in a trash can upside down with his little legs wiggling back and forth, screaming for help. I wish somebody would have done that to J.C. Jackson with his unshod shoes just wiggling back and forth like a jerk, like a big jerk. Well, let's get out of here. I got to calm down. All right, we'll be back on Tuesday. Again, thanks for listening. Again, it's a bye week for the Chargers. We'll have more talk as they get ready for the Cowboys. Let's hope the Cowboys come in a little bit bruised. I didn't say injured. I said bruised next week against the Chargers. And then we'll talk about them getting ready to go 3-2, get over the 500 mark, and the Chargers going in the right direction. But again, thanks for watching and leaving comments on YouTube. As Mario says all the time, you have to subscribe, thumbs up, comments, whatever you want. We appreciate all of it. And again, Bolt City on the Odyssey app is fantastic to listen to as well. It's the same thing. You just can't see us. So for Mario Heron, Josh Palais, Dave Palais, we'll see you next time.